Well, good day. We are here at the Caldwell Sculpture Celebration, and this is a momentous year, many years. This is the 34th annual Caldwell Sculpture Festival, and I'm here with the new Executive Director of the Caldwell County Arts Council, Suzette Bradshaw. And this is a beautiful venue. We've always enjoyed this. Tell us a little bit about how many vendors we have here today, exhibitors, and some of the events that take place throughout today.
Sure. Today is open to the public from 9 to 4. We have about 50 plus sculptors that will be here. Probably in excess of 150 sculptures for people to look at.
Right.
Like we say, it's the 34th annual year that we've held this. It's held here at the beautiful Broil Hill Walking Park. It's in conjunction with the City of Lenoir and Lenoir Parks and Rec. They've done an amazing job getting this park ready for the event. It's really beautiful. So we hope everybody comes out and takes a look at the art and enjoys the park for the day. We've got also activities going on. We have children's activities all day, art for the kids to partake in and work with. The Folk Keeper Gallery in Uptown Lenoir is sponsoring that, and they'll be working with the children. We also have music throughout the day. We've got Blackberry Jam, our youth bluegrass and old-time music group. That's the kids that are in our jam program, Junior Appalachian Musicians. They'll be performing this morning. We have Rastacusta later on, and we have a jazz trio in the afternoon. So that will be going on throughout the day. So after you've walked around and looked at the sculpture, you can just sit back and listen to the music and just enjoy the beautiful day and the beautiful environment here and interact with the artist and everybody that's here. It's a real family-friendly event, so certainly kids are welcome, and bring everybody on out and come and enjoy.
And this is a juried event, so there is some judging involved?
Yes, it is a judged event. We have an excess of $11,000 in prize money that goes out. We have many honorable mentions, Judges' Merit Awards, Best of Show, first, second, and third place, as well as People's Choice. And it's really important for people to come and vote for their People's Choice Awards. We also have youth sculptures that are by the schools, and also individual youth have sculptures here that we can vote on for People's Choice, and awards for them as well. So there's a lot going on today. It's going to be a busy day. It's a beautiful day, sunny, and we couldn't ask for better weather, so we're just really happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much, Suzette, for taking time to talk with us. You can see, as it is, it's a beautiful venue and a backdrop for a beautiful day. We're going to go around and try to capture some of the images here of the sculptures. And I'm Kevin Matheson for the City of Lenoir. Sit back and enjoy the 34th Annual Caldwell Sculpture Festival. Well, I'm joined with one of the sculptors here today who have been here several years. How many times have you been to Lenoir now?
Probably 8 years.
8 years going on, right. And you see some really, really unique pieces of metalwork, mostly sculpture. Tell us a little bit about some of these pieces and what are your themes usually? I think some of them have a lot of biblical tie-ins.
That's right, yeah. Now, nothing that's here has got too much of a biblical tie. The pieces at our sculpture park in Mount Airy, a lot of them do. But yeah, this piece here was started out as a self-portrait because I'm a musician probably, hopefully not. Yeah, yeah, but this piece here, somebody was just asking me about the cylinder and the base. They said that's got to be heavy. I said, well, it's thinner steel than it looks. You know, steel can be deceiving. It probably only weighs about 100 pounds for the base. You know. And but it's fun to play around with, and so
Looks like you've added some really interesting color on some of these this go
piece
around.
over here, I was just experimenting with. It was kind of funny because a guy had this piece of farm equipment on a trailer for sale, and all I wanted was the discs off it. Well, he didn't want to just sell me the discs, he wanted to sell me the whole thing or nothing, and I said, okay, deliver it. So we hauled it off, and I cut it all up into pieces so I could take it to the scrapyard, and they're all in this pile. And I kept, I looked at it for about 3 or 4 weeks, and you know what? Well, I welded the whole thing. I spent about 4 days, welded the whole thing together, and then because I knew what I was going to do, some of the pipes, I was going to plunk these flowers in it. And so I thought, well, okay, now I've got 7 different colors of paint here, and I was kind of thinking, who's that guy that painted these huge canvases on the floors and all that? And I thought, well, I'll just get some of that paint and just kind of dribble it. And that's where the idea of that, art is just totally in the eye of the beholder. And, and it's kind of fun because somebody will come by and they go, well, that's the front end off a canutenator valve, and, another piece will go, wow, that's really cool. What is it? And it's just so much fun to get to see the different reactions.
Right.
And there is some fabulous art here, and we're just really tickled to be here. We're pretty amazed at all the.
Well, we're glad that you're here as well, and always enjoy looking at your pieces, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you as well, and hope you enjoy the day, and best of luck.
Looks like we're going to have a fabulous day. Weather is being really kind to us, and looks like we're not going to get any thunder or lightning or anything like that.
Blue skies.
Perfect. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And the weather's just great. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. All right.
Have a good one. All right, I'm joined with another sculptor, and this piece really caught our eye. Why don't you tell the viewers here in Caldwell County your name?
Victor Heinker,
Yeah, and where are you from?
Raleigh.
You're from Raleigh area?
Mhm.
Okay. Tell us about this piece right here. Is that stone? What is
No,
that?
It's bronze.
It's bronze. Oh wow! And it looks just like stone, but a lot of bronze.
To radiate it like granite.
Yeah, it looks like granite. You did a great job then with bronze. Where'd you get the inspiration for this piece?
I lived in Reno, Nevada for 10 years, and the Truckee River is there, and in Pyramid Lake and Tahoe, Lake Tahoe, and that's how the indigenous people lived, on fish in there.
Cutthroat, named Lahontan Cutthroat.
Yeah, Lahontan Cutthroat, yeah. And when they come across, when the settlers came, especially during the gold rush, the Reno Truckee Valley was a stopping place before they'd go over the mountains next spring to go into California. But the Donner Party didn't do that. That's why they got
Exactly, that's what happened in the winter, and cannibalism and all that stuff, right?
But there's a lot of people that saw that the lush valley of Tahoe, around Tahoe and Reno, Nevada, was a good place to stay, and that's what they did. That's how the Reno got developed during the gold rush.
Gotcha.
They actually found silver in that valley too.
Right, Virginia City area, exactly. And what is this piece?
That's my elephant. I did that in 1989, and I had it in my house all these years, and I never did like the patina on it. And I decided I was going to start showing again because I'm getting close to retirement age. So then I'll have something to do. So I repatinaed it and did it, and it's just an elephant I did years ago.
Well, you did a great job on it. Well, is this your first time here in Lenoir?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, well, welcome to Lenoir. Appreciate you taking time talking with us, and we've enjoyed the festival today here. This is a 34th year that this festival's been going on.
Well, I'll come again next year.
Okay, well,
I've got some
we'd
other
love to
pieces
have you.
I'm working on.
Well, you did a really good job, and really best of luck to you in the juried part of this and the competition. It really caught our eye, and you do really good work, Victor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
We got there too early. By the time it got nice enough to fish, it was the middle of June. We actually had snow up here.
Well, I've found a nice place to sit and chat for a spell here with a sculptor that's been here in years past and has come back again this year from Canada, moved to Canada. Ron Slack, yep, and he's got a place in Salisbury, and he'd been here several years, and then moved to Canada a couple years ago, and decided to come back for this show. Once again, why don't you tell everybody at home a little bit about your work here?
Most of my work is just found material that I find when I'm out fishing or walking in the woods. I find an old stump, the rotted out stump, or tree branches or whatever, and have a nice shape to them, a nice look, and I'll just bring them home, let them sit around for a while until I kind of find something I want to, try to carve a fish or an otter or birds or whatever into it. And a lot of times I'll let it get dry for a few years before I start carving into it, so it won't crack on me. But as you've probably seen with the display in the front there, I have some that's an old log, some that's an old stump. I got one that's an old tree branch that I carved some trout into and a river otter into. But it's just mostly whatever I can see in the wood. I'll let it sit there for months before I finally decide to carve something into it.
You're sitting here carving right now as a small trout, it looks like.
Small trout. This is going to be part of a bigger display. Actually, this is going to be something that a larger fish is going to be going after to try to make a meal out of it. So
that's how it works in nature.
But all the smaller stuff I usually carve by hand. The bigger things I might even start with a chainsaw and rough it out with a chainsaw, and then start with my hand tools, my die grinders, and the knives, whatever it takes to get it down to where I can get a good final finish on it.
Exactly. So it almost looks like a little X-Acto knife there.
It is. This is just an X-Acto knife. Anything you can buy in the store. I have some other ones here that are actually made for carving, have the different ends on them, the different shapes, so I can get into some tighter spots and get small little gouges. But a lot of times I'll use the rotor tools with the bits on them, with the carving bits, and I've got some little rotor tool chisel type things that I use to chisel out wood to rough it out before I start in with the smaller tools.
Well, you've got a few pieces here, as you saw that, and you always do such a good job with the paint and the vivid colors on them as well.
Well, the paint takes a lot of skill. That takes quite a few years to get it down pat. There's a lot of different layers to it. Translucence and the skin detail and the scale detail on it and the scale tipping and all that. I've been doing fish for, I'd say 45 years now, carving fish, so you still even learn. Every year I'll find something different, a new technique to kind of make the fish look more alive.
Well, I can tell your work has progressed, and you do a great job with it, Ron. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and showing the folks here in Caldwell County a little bit of your work, and I certainly admire it, and welcome back to the Carolina Foothills.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, the sculpture that caught our eye here is by a local artist, a young sculptor named Elizabeth Willis. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this piece, Elizabeth?
So this piece is called The Traveler. It's about a person, it could be anybody, that has traveled, and all these planets are kind of like memories.
So these are planets?
Yes.
Okay, and what is that media? Are those styrofoam? Or?
Yes, the planets are styrofoam. This is all metal wire, and this is all wood base.
And a wood base, okay. So how'd you get the inspiration for this? Is it just something that came together? It's always interesting to see how the artist conceived, or if what ended up, the final result is what you envisioned, or it just kind of organically grew to look like this.
It did kind of grow to this. I had a completely different idea with when I started, and then I kind of like gave up on that, and then I went with this, and I think I like this one a lot better than what I originally went with.
Yeah, it's kind of an allegory for life. You think you have it all planned out and how things are going to go, and then a curveball's thrown, you just have to adjust, and this is what comes out. So it looks really neat. So how long have you been sculpting?
For 4 years. I started in 6th grade, I did one in 7th grade, and I did one last year, and this is my 4th year.
So you are now a junior in high school?
Yes. All right.
And where do you go to high school?
At the early college.
Early college, high school. Very well. So I wish you all the best. Do you have anything else you want to leave the viewers at home with about this sculpture piece?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? That's good. Well, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us. It is really unique, and keep sculpting.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm joined with another local sculptor from here in Lenoir, Bethany Smith. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your work?
I'm a mixed media artist, and I recently just did an 8-week flame working concentration at Penland. And it's a private art school in Spruce Pine.
Spruce Pine, yep.
And I just incorporated glass into 2 of these pieces, and I made these 2 pieces in Penland. And this one's just like it was a commission piece I made for someone that was in my class because he really liked my art. And this is my 4th time at this sculpture celebration.
Right.
This is my 4th year in a row. So it's like my one joy that I do every year, that I just get to like have my art and have everyone else come and look and see what I've done. So
They come to you because you're from here in Lenoir. That's pretty cool. And so all of this is glass?
Oh no, this right here is great stuff, spray paint, and then I do my faces with flex wax, which is like I melt it in a crock pot and then I literally paint it onto the face. And I make my mold and then I pour plaster and I do plaster molds, and I've literally redone my face every single time for every face that's on here. So this was like, he wanted me to do his face so bad, and we were in Penland and we were just like in the studio because it's just like open studio space, and he like painted it on his face and he was like, please do my nose. And I was like, well, we're gonna have to figure out something so you can actually see your nose. So we made like these little glass tubes and put them in his nose so he could have like his nose actually in the sculpture, because usually you're not even probably supposed to put that on your face.
Well, he was adventurous. He wanted, hey, the things you do for art.
And these pieces actually have glass on them that I have worked. Like I had made a necklace, and this is probably like 4.5 hours worth of just glass work, because you start with a piece of tube,
Right.
and then you add colored glass onto the tube to have something like that. And it's like each one of these pieces were just specifically for this, but kind of wild and free flowing and different. And I just wanted to have something incorporated into what I've learned, because I always make these weird, crazy sculptures, and I actually went to school to figure out how to do something completely different, and it kicked my butt, and now I'm just like showing everybody what I learned.
There you go. So different artists feel differently. Some people do not like to title their pieces at all. They just like the concept of having the free flow and, let it for private interpretation. So that's how that one is. But do these have a name?
Yeah, this one's Flame because it just reminded me of fire.
Right.
This one's For a Friend because it was literally for a friend.
Yeah, there you go.
And then this one I just couldn't figure out a name for because it was just, it's so different from what I usually do. Like I incorporated hardwood floors, and because my dad does hardwood floors
There you go.
like here locally in Lenoir. and I just grew up with that, so I tried to incorporate that into my sculpture this time. So it's like faces and then glass, and it's just like show how like life changes and how I'm just trying to incorporate it into my artwork.
Very good. So, well, thank you so much, Bethany, for taking the time to talk with us, and you as well. And best of luck today, and enjoy the day. It's a beautiful day to do this.
Please come out and see everyone's sculptures, because that's like the main reason I come out. I usually don't win anything, and I just love coming and looking and just taking inspiration, because my pieces last year is what got me into art school. So you're not always just doing it to win something, you're doing it to get your work out there so people can see what you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Bethany.
Thank you.
We're joined by local artist and somewhat celebrity, Charlie Fry, from here in Lenoir. And you can see one of your
It's a work in progress.
patented pieces of an owl. So, and what's going on here today with all these kids around?
Well, we are just getting started at the sculpture celebration, and we are painting owls on these little discs that came from Bernhardt Furniture Factory. Instead of them going into the landfill, we're making art out of them.
There you go.
We've got Gwyneth here helping a young student paint her owl, and hopefully we'll have a lot of kids out today. So Gwyneth and Susan and I are here working right now, and I think we've got another kid coming in here, but we got Pearl out in the park. She might be art, she just might be a old truck, you never know. But we will be here until 4 today, and we're just looking forward to having a good time painting some owls.
This is always one of the more involved in the community art exhibits that in this whole area of North Carolina. So it's good to dovetail on that with some painting and getting kids involved in art. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think one of the best things we can do is have people be creative at a young age, and it'll carry them through life.
Well, as always, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us, Charlie.
All right, thank
yeah,
you.
man, and back at it.
Come and see us.
We're here with the beautiful backdrop of the Broyhill Pond with some really neat wood sculptures here. Why don't you tell the viewers here in Caldwell County your name and what's the name of this piece?
I'm Greg Bender, and this piece is called To Live and Thrive, Let the Spider Run Alive.
Okay.
And so it's made with shiitake logs, which are logs filled with shiitake mushroom spawn.
Right.
And so normally you do that in the spring, and then they'll pop out with mushrooms. In this case, all over the sculpture. So my motto, I forgot to put it on there. My motto is, you can have your sculpture and eat it too.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So shiitakes are delicious. I love them as well. But you can see the dark patches here are actually where
and some of these, yeah, they probably can't see it from that angle I'm trying to say, but you can definitely see it there. It's where they'll pop out next.
Right.
If you think of the bean plant is in there, and then when they pop out, that would be the bean of the, if you consider mushrooms like beans.
Right.
Close enough,
yeah, I like the analogy.
Yeah.
All right.
So
do you actually grow shiitakes just besides on these logs? Do you do that on the side?
Yeah, we've been doing it for a long time. We did it. There was through NCANT. We got started years and years ago.
Okay.
Some friends at the zoo started doing it, so we started doing it, and we've been doing it almost 20 years now. We've been growing the mushrooms, and in the last 5 or 10, I've been making sculptures out of them.
That's really neat. And you got some more pieces over there as well.
Piece up there, and we have one. I teach art, middle school art, so we have one. If you see up the kids' art, there's one that's similar to the logs.
Yeah, we saw
And so
that.
we did one. That was ours that we did, and the kids made the design, so I set it up how they wanted it.
So you're obviously from Asheboro.
Yeah, we're from. I live in Asheboro, and the kids that did that one are Montgomery County, so Bisco, Troy area, if you're familiar.
Yeah, it's just south of Randolph County there. So how long have you been sculpting?
Probably a long time. I've made enough sculptures, 1 or 2 a year since I've been teaching, and so I'm trying to get a little bit more of my work.
Teaching how many years now?
I've been teaching about 19 years.
19 years, so you got a lot of stories.
Elementary and middle school, yeah. Yeah, most of them good.
Most of them good. Right? That's good, and that's why you're still doing it.
That's right.
And for the paycheck.
I enjoy it.
Yeah,
It is fun. It's a thing.
Absolutely.
Beautiful place you got.
Well, thank you. So, is this how many years have you been coming to this festival?
This is the first year I've been here.
Okay.
I just found out about it, and so we came up, and I've had a couple different sculptures, different places. Sand Hill Community College had a garden show several years back, and they discontinued it. So, that was kind of a
Similar,
place to put stuff like this, but so I hadn't really put places much. Although, as I say that, the Spider's going to UNC Chapel Hill Gardens tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
He's leaving here.
He's spoken for.
There.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he'll be there for like a month.
Okay. So on exhibit.
Meet and greet down there.
And maybe by then you'll have a little shiitake bloom.
Yes, in that amount of time, in a month, we should have something this time of year.
Yeah, it's actually turned dry for the last week or so.
Yeah. Yep. If we get a rain or a cold snap, we should see some mushrooms popping out of him. Plus, moving the logs or tapping the logs sometimes helps pop mushrooms, gives it a fruit.
Oh, okay. Cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool.
Right.
Normally, they'll come out about every 6 to 8 weeks. You'll get like a bloom or a flush,
right,
I guess is what we would call them.
Right.
And so it's they're about due. That's why I was really thinking.
Maybe it'll time just right.
Yeah,
but
they'll
hey.
probably get them. They'll probably pop out on the way home. So I'll be like,
Well, it's so natural. I don't know if Ronnie can zoom in, but you have a dragonfly that has landed right up on the appendage of one of those arachnids here.
Not even bothered to understand what could happen to his poor fella.
Exactly. All right. Well, welcome to Lenoir.
Well, it's awesome. A fabulous place here. All I'd done earlier was Google Earthed it. So I was like, oh, there's a pond there. But so when we showed up, I was like, wow. And then you drive around and see the sculptures, and then you're like, wow. This is something y'all got here. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I got to say, it's neat.
Well, thank you so much, and I hope you plan on coming back.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, we'll be back next year. Try to bring one for, that the kids make again next year. Maybe something similar, maybe something different. I don't know, but we'll definitely come back.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with me, my friend.
Well, thank you. It's nice to meet y'all.
You too. Well, I'm joined by another sculptor here. This gentleman from Matthews, North Carolina, William Locke. Tell us a little bit about this media. It looks like maybe copper wire and maybe some steel.
Yes, it's steel. I made there's hollow. I made like a tube,
yeah.
And then textured it with weld. Made it look like the bark.
Right. You did a good job.
Well, thank you. Then I made the wire. Of course, it's copper wire, and I welded it to the steel and formed what the shape I wanted. The tubing or the steel was, had to heat. Of course, I had to use a lot of heat to get it keep it from kinking.
Right.
Where I wanted to bend more lifelike.
Yeah, to look natural, and it does.
Oh, well, thank you.
And you got a couple other pieces over here. Let's walk over here and take a look at these. These are more, pretty easily recognizable, but very beautiful pieces.
Yeah,
just stand right here in the middle.
This is steel here, and I took a plasma cutter, which is cut through the steel, which left a gap, all the way through. Then I filled the gap up with brass.
Okay.
And then once I did all that, I polished it all down, then put a little bit of color in it with heat. Got a little
I see.
uh,
For the heat to make these
Yeah, a little bit.
burnishes here.
Yeah.
All right.
and then same thing I did on this seahorse.
Right.
That's steel with brass.
And so to get the brass incorporated, you cut that with the plasma torch.
It's cut all the way through.
And then did you melt the brass into it?
Yeah,
or
you weld it, you braze it.
braise it. That's
Braze
what
it,
it's
yeah.
called.
You braze it into it. It's a welding technique, brazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, it turned out very lifelike and very beautiful. I appreciate you sharing it with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I'm joined by a wood sculptor from Sanford, North Carolina. Why don't you tell the viewers here in Caldwell County your name and a little bit about these pieces?
Hi, I'm Dakota Merritt. I'm from Sanford, North Carolina. It's about south of Raleigh. It's the town everyone goes through but doesn't stop at. Yeah, with these works, a lot of the time I used to do a lot of pre-planning for my work, and it always was very stiff and it didn't have flow to it. And I kind of approach each piece, I decide when I get the piece, you know, it has this form and what I can do with this, and I just attack it in a very short time. I go in with the chainsaw, work it out, and then I have a form, and then I spend most of the time working on it by cleaning it up and smoothing it out, and yeah.
So this starts with as a large piece of wood, chainsaw, hew it down a little bit, and then you start with some finer tools from there?
Yeah, mostly I use power tools just because I find them very quick, and it's not as bad on the elbows. But but on the very last details, that's when I bring out the hand tools.
Right. So any specific wood that you prefer working with?
I'll kind of do a cop out. My two favorites are Western red cedar and not maple, walnut.
Walnut.
Yeah.
It has a really deep finish. What is this piece? Walnut?
This piece is Western red cedar.
It's red cedar. Okay.
And one thing I really like about it is you can get some big pieces and it's really light. Like without the base, this is like 3 pounds. So,
Hey, when you're going to shows and exhibitions, that makes for a much easier takedown and setup.
Oh yeah, and I want to get, if I had the full supply, I would love to just buy a full tree of this and just go to town on it. But
from out west, let's go to Oregon or somewhere and get a whole tree and just bring it back to North Carolina and go to work.
Oh yeah, it'd totally be worth it.
Deal. So what are some of these pieces' names?
This one I called My World.
Okay.
And Pillar. And this one is I call it Self-Portrait. Even though it doesn't look nothing like me, I thought it kind of captured my inner emotional side.
Okay. It's like two sides of it because it's like two pieces.
Yeah, I always feel like there's two parts of me that are kind of always at odds with each other. Okay. So there's always that inner conflict, but I'm still the same person.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. Enjoy your day.
Yeah.
All right. All right, I'm joined by a sculptor who's been here several times, and we've interviewed you in the past, Jeff Albert, and you're from High Point?
I'm from High Point, yes, and I've been here about 7 years now.
So, good deal. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this piece? It's really unique.
Well, thank you. This piece is called Healing, and it started with me with the idea of the thorn, and I was thinking about emotional healing and how a lot of people they focus on their emotional wounds, but it takes a lot more bravery to look at the thorn or whatever it was that caused the wound. So that's how this started out, of an eye looking at a thorn, and then it just kind of developed from there, putting some other elements into it. This piece, like a puzzle piece trying to fit back together. It's deliberately made to be off-center, which is, you know, this idea of trying to get our mind centered back, and two sides of the brain, or it could be representing the mind-body, whatever someone wants to see in this. I tried to put enough in it that people can bring their own interpretation to it.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of art and sculpture.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what are some of these woods? You had really neat colors to them.
Absolutely. This is walnut, and this is a wood that's it's an engineered wood. It's genetically designed wood that's made to mimic mahogany and cherry, and it's used a lot in it goes under several names. One is Liptus. Okay. That's a hybrid of eucalyptus, and it grows very tall very quickly without having a lot of tree branches coming out early on, so you don't get knots there, and it's just a beautiful wood. This is ebony, and this is cherry.
Cherry, right. Okay, good deal. So you incorporated it very nicely, and I appreciate you taking time to talk with us again, Jeffrey.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming.
And welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm joined with another sculptor from not too far away, up in Sparta. Why don't you tell the viewers here in Caldwell County your name and a little bit about this piece here?
My name's Daniel Cater, and this pieces are coil built out of clay. The body of them is, okay. And then the stem is forged and fabricated steel, and then I painted an automotive finish on the white part there, and so.
And it's a clever, the title of it.
Yeah, a pair of pairs.
Yeah, there you go. Is this your first time here in Lenoir at this sculpture festival?
I've been doing this for 10 or 11 years.
Oh, wow.
So I try to come every year and do. I always bring a clay piece because that's what I make my living with. Is I'm a potter. So I try to, and then I always bring something a little different too. So,
yeah. Tell us a little bit about that piece over there as well.
That piece is steel and concrete, and the pedestal is steel, and then the piece on top is the black lines in it is a metal grid.
That's metal itself.
Metal, yeah, and I took concrete and packed the concrete into the metal grid and then polished it back with a wet polisher until the metal grid came out, and then I put a gun blue finish on it, and so it's fun to make, but it's concrete's heavy, so I don't know if I'll make anything like
that. That's not. Yeah, it's not hollow. It's a solid piece.
Yeah, it weighs about 165 pounds.
I'm always fascinated with how art pieces come out, and is this the kind of thing that you envisioned when you started, or it just kind of morphed into this?
It is. When I built the grid work, originally I was going to cover it with sheet metal and make it a steel piece.
Right.
But I really liked the visual impact of the grid, so I wanted to show that, and so then I tried to figure out different ways to, that I could finish the piece with that showing. So that was important, and the concrete sounded like a good idea until I tried to pick it up and also try to get the concrete to stay in the little holes.
Right, exactly.
So it was a challenge, but that's what made it fun and interesting. So
about how many hours do you have into that piece, base and piece as well?
Probably 150, maybe 200, somewhere in there. I try not to think about that.
Yeah, exactly. For what you may get out of it at the time. Hey, but it's a labor of love because you love art and sculpting.
And it's something different than I normally do, so it's a different type of work. So that makes it fun too, to try a different material.
It's a new challenge, exactly. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us, and welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
All right.